Okay. Call this take two. I had some audio issues before, but hey, this is Joe. This is 31 Nights of Horror Games. 11. I can't believe we've been doing this for so long. If you count the Twilight Zone thing we did 12 years ago, we've been doing daily Halloween stuff in October for almost a third of at least mine and Eric's lives, which is wild, right? So, and tonight we are doing the true director's cut mod of Resident Evil, the original Resident Evil. And the reason you're not seeing my face or any of the background stuff is because I'm also actually recording this for some game footage for an upcoming video. So that's why there's a way, like there's a thing you can do to Discord, or not Discord, OBS. There's like a mod fan, hack, whatever you call it, add-on for OBS that you can tell it to just record one input while you stream something different, but it's like kind of a pain in the ass from what I saw to get it working. So I haven't really like earnestly messed around with that stuff. So since I'm recording, you're just getting the game tonight because that's the only way I can do it. But you still get my lovely voice, and I'm watching the chat, or trying to. So hey, if you've never played this version of the game or the Western PC version, these FMVs look a little different. So even in the Japanese version, the FMVs are uncut the way you're seeing them now, but they're still in black and white. This version, I believe, again, lifted these from the Windows 95 port of the original Resident Evil, which had the full color uncut videos, which aren't even in the 2007 DS version, which I think is like pretty wild. Like by that point, it seems weird that they would just continue holding on to the black and white, but here we are, edited and black and white, not even the unedited black and white. So like there's some stuff, like obviously this severed arm is a little different than what you might be used to. The half-eaten corpse at the beginning that you first saw, if you have been watching this in the beginning, like that's different than what you're used to seeing or what you've seen in the past. That dog with the eyeball hanging out, and the shot, the blood, Joseph getting devoured. This is all new to you. And props to them. Like this, like if the vibe they're going for is 80s horror, practical effects stuff, like they got it. It's that super red blood, and the dog monsters are like obviously puppets, but who doesn't love wet puppets, So yeah, all the close-ups of the dogs and everything, like you're again, may not be familiar with that. So
Chris Redfield,
or Chris Smoking, because that was taken out of the
Jill Valentine,
American release.
Barry Burton, Rebecca Chambers.
I like that Barry is, I guess I didn't catch his name earlier. So, Wesker is supposed to be the age that I am now, and that looks, fairly accurate. But I think Barry's supposed to be only like, also like similar age, or maybe a little bit older, and the guy who plays him looks like he's like 50. But anyways.
What is this? Wow. What a mansion!
What a mansion. So
Captain
basically what
Wesker,
this mod
where's
does
Chris?
is
Stop it!
it's
Don't open
the
that door.
DualShock Director's
Chris is-
Cut version, but you can
What is it?
you can get the patch with either soundtrack.
Jill,
I have it with the classic
can you go?
soundtrack
I'm
because
going
I
with
don't
you.
like the bad
Chris is
soundtrack.
our old partner.
And it also restores,
Okay,
you know, all of the
let
kind
me
of
handle
director's
this.
cut things that you would expect in an actual director's cut version of this game. So,
Stay alert.
excuse me. So, the gore in the FMVs is restored, and even some stuff from the betas is restored. So I don't know if I'm going to get far enough tonight to see it, but there is a
dining room.
place in the house where there's a message scrawled in blood on the wall that was in one of the betas that's been leaked, and like many beta versions of this
What
game have
is
been
this?
leaked, going back to like mid '95 into like
Blood.
right before the official release. Like I think
Jill,
there's a
see if you
January
can find any other
'96
clues. I'll be
beta, which the
examining
game
this.
came out in March of '96. This year's
Hope this is
25th
not
anniversary,
Chris's
so like
blood.
that one's pretty close to the final release, but there's still a lot of stuff that's different about it. And so some of that stuff was restored. And I mean, it's one of those things where it's tough, right? Because you say director's cut, or the modder says true director's cut, but you really, this is another FMV that's different than, oh, it's Kenneth's half-eaten face. That is actually in the DS version for some reason. Not in the PS1 director's cut, either PS1 director's cut. But it is in as I say, the Nintendo DS Study
Watch
Science
out!
version.
It's a
But the original,
monster!
the FMVs of the live actors are not restored. Which is weird, but that one is restored.
Is it?
So,
Kenneth was killed too. Maybe by this creature.
maybe by this creature.
Anyway, let's report this to Wesker.
So I hadn't realized this and never really thought about it, but according to Alex O'Neill's book, Itchy Tasty, The Unauthorized History of Resident Evil, which if I was on cam right now I could show you the cover of, but I'm not, for reasons mentioned previously.
Wesker!
The
Help me look for
part
him,
of the
Jill.
reason the voiceovers
Don't
are
leave this
bad,
hall for the
or
time being.
more to the point, part of the reason the script for the voiceovers is bad, is because they wanted, even though the Japanese version has Japanese subtitles, they wanted the voiceovers to be easily understood
Find
by
anything, Jill?
Japanese people who
Nothing. What is this all about?
speak
I
English
can't
as a
figure it
second
out at
language.
all.
That was kind of the intention
me too.
behind that. Which
Now
is interesting
it's
because
Wesker's time
there
to
is
disappear.
there
I
is
don't know what's going on.
talk
Well,
that there is a
can't be
or
helped.
people at Capcom have
Let's
said
search for him separately.
there
I'll check
is
the dining
excuse
room
me
again.
there is a
Okay,
Japanese
I'll try the door on the opposite
audio
side.
track for this game,
mansion is
but it was so
gigantic.
bad that
We
Mikami
could get into
just
trouble if
made
we get
English the
lost.
spoken language in every
We should
version,
start from the first floor, okay? And
which I find interesting.
Jill, here's a lockpick. It might be
Because
handy
the
if
English
you,
version is
the
bad,
master
but if
of
you're not a
our
native
locker
speaker, you
room,
might
take
not
it with
realize
you.
how bad it is. But part of the reason that it is like a very sort of simple script,
Thanks. Maybe I'll need it.
you know, is to
Listen,
make it so that the
something happens,
voices can be easily
let's meet
understood.
up
But
in
getting
this
back to what I
hall.
was saying, you know, the person who made this mod is saying it's the true director's cut, and you don't. I mean,
this time I'll be
they
there.
didn't talk to Shinji Mikami. You know, so we don't know. You know, we don't know what his preferred version really would be. You know, we know that he made the remake years later, so I guess things that may have been cut that, you know, appear in that game, I guess we could say maybe would qualify as director, true director's cut stuff, but it's hard to say for certain. So stuff like the blood writing on the wall, and there's a spot where there's a clip in a bathtub, stuff like that, where it's just like, well, is that truly what he wanted, or is that just stuff that was cut? You don't know why it was cut, and so just because it was cut, you're putting it back in. How do you decide which of the cut content to put back in and not put back in? And I that's hard. It's hard to make that distinction, I think, in some cases. So, but at any rate, I mean, it's a fan project. They worked with what they had, and I think the number one thing that a lot of people really want is to have the original cutscenes in their full glory, and then the choice of soundtracks. There are, I think, some excuse me, I got on later than I wanted to, so I am pretty tired. There are some people who prefer the DualShock version soundtrack. I am not one of them. But those people do exist, and so you have the choice of soundtrack. When you have to do that when you download the mod. There's two versions of the mod. One has the DualShock soundtrack, one has the original soundtrack. So that's a choice you make when you download the mod, the patch. But people want that. People want the original FMVs, and I think that's really primarily what people really want out of this. But I think there's some other things that can be restored from the Japanese version or from other versions if you really wanted to go the full mile and sort of get the most content complete version of the game. But that's a lot of work. Some of the ports have gorier death scenes, which is basically just like the camera lingers longer on you when you die, and so you see your body start to get eaten and whatever. Let's see here. The credits in the Japanese version, I don't remember if you have to get the good ending or not, but shows a bunch of sort of, instead of just like credits on a black background, which if memory serves is what the US version has, there's a bunch of sort of clips of the monsters attacking the player characters and
what's going
being
on?
attacked.
Jill? Is that you, Jill? What happened?
With
Barry?
some gore
Open,
of
please.
that kind of stuff,
The
but it's just like
door won't
it's like in-engine stuff. It's not like additional FMVs. It's just in-engine stuff of zombies attacking Chris, dogs attacking Jill,
Hurry!
whatever.
This way!
Some clips of the boss fights and stuff like that, which Capcom, they love to do that stuff. Like at the end of like Ghouls and Ghosts, you see like the ending play out where it shows
That
all the
was
different
too
monsters,
close.
the bosses
You were
that you
almost
fought,
a
and
jibble
that
sandwich.
stuff.
You're right.
Well, that's not
Barry,
Capcom, but
thanks for
Castlevania 4
saving
did
my
a
life.
similar thing, and
But Barry, didn't you say you're going back to the dining room to do some
Capcom
research?
likes to do that. Street Fighter Alpha also had like
are you
in
here?
the arcade version, the credits shows the different characters and their
I
stages
just had
kind of as the
something I
credits
wanted
roll.
to check.
So
Now, let's get back to searching for the lost captain and Chris.
just stuff
shall
like
we?
that. And I think, again, that's like kind of, do we want the feature complete version? Do
Thank
we
you,
add all
Barry.
that stuff in? Do
Yeah.
we try to, do you try to somehow port over the battle game content from the Saturn version, or do you put other stuff from this version into the Saturn version to make that the oh, come on. To make that the true director's cut or whatever, that's the thing that, again, it's hard to decide where you draw the line with some of that stuff. But I think what's been done here, is cool, and it's sort of, the thing that I really wanted most out of it, and, again, what I got is the both modes of the director's cut game, compatibility with the DualShock controller, and the non-shitty soundtrack. And I think that's everything else is just, kind of gravy. So I was thinking about this lately, and for all I know, I'm talking to myself right now, but I was thinking recently that the title Resident Evil, it's deeply silly, and it's very on the nose in a lot of ways, but I actually think it's a better title than Biohazard. And I'm sure people are split on this, but for me, Biohazard kind of gives things away, right? There's no, if the name of the game is Biohazard, that implies a chemical spill of some sort, a leak, a laboratory accident, if you say Biohazard. Resident Evil just tells you that there is some shit in this house. And, really, some shit in this house is, you don't, if you haven't played a lot of this specific entry of the series, it's hard to remember or put yourself in a place where anything in this series is a mystery, especially since now the stupid lore goes just so very deep. Okay, interesting. So this is a modded version. But it's maintaining my saves from the non-modded version. So I'm not going to actually bother to save right now, because basically I'm doing the exact same thing that I did in the other version. So yeah, you don't know what's going on in the house, and you don't actually know for quite a while, depending on which path you take sort of early in the game and where you end up going first, and all that kind of stuff. there are different things that you certainly can learn. When you read the researcher's journal, for example, you learn, that there's been some sort of... A scientist came and told me to put on this spacesuit thing, and, that's fairly early in the game, but you still don't really know what this mansion is, or what, which I guess you wouldn't in the Japanese version either, but when the title is Biohazard, again, you kind of have this idea that it's not... it's not just... there it is. That's the blood writing, right? So that was only in the beta, and it wasn't in any of the later versions. I don't know why it was taken out, but it's one of those things. It's kind of neat that they put it back in. Yeah, so it's just, I just think it's more interesting when you for the early part of the game at least, you just have absolutely no idea what's going on in this house. And it's not until, later that you even realize, like, there's scientists and they're, like, the thing that turned these people into zombies is not, there's no more room in hell or, whatever else. It was a virus. It wasn't a meteor. It wasn't, oof. Yeah, it wasn't any of that stuff. It was... just a virus that escaped. Thank you.
Resident Evil.
So, for the sake of... Like, I've played several variations of this game on stream over the various Halloweens. So I'm going to jump a little bit deeper into the game, just because my saves did carry over from... So this is right after the Yawn fight, I believe. Which key is that? That's the armor key. I just did the Yawn fight in this save. So what I need to do now is take all of the crests and slot them into where they go. And in order to do that, I should probably stow the ink ribbons. I don't need those. In order to do that, I have to kill the plant in the conservatory with the chemical, and then I can get the last crest, and then I can go to the guardhouse. So, and I think I missed a clip because I couldn't carry enough. I couldn't carry anything else. Or no, not a clip. Shotgun shells, maybe. Yes, I missed the shotgun shells. Okay. I will take the shells, yes. Yes, I will. I remember, you know, the first time I played this game, just feeling like they're just, how can you survive with this few bullets? And now, every time I play it, even the long box version, which has no auto aim, I'm still kind of like, you know, this game gives you a lot of bullets as long as you don't, like, if you're not super wasteful with them. Like, I killed pretty much every zombie in the mansion on the first trip through. Because the thing is, right, once you're in a place where the zombies are a lot less common, handgun rounds are basically useless, right? You're not going to pump, you know, enough handgun rounds into a hunter to kill it. That's just, like, nobody wants to do that. You know, you're going to use the shotgun or whatever. And so, you know, what's the point of saving handgun ammo for late in the game when, you know, none of the bosses, none of the late game enemies, like, there's no reason. Okay, we're actually not going to take the Suncrest right this second because we're going to take the last two herbs and combine them. To free up just enough space that we don't have to come back. This game also, even in the, like, maybe especially in the director's cut version, dumps a ton of herbs on you. And to the point where it's just, it borders on ridiculous, you know? It's just like, what do I need all these herbs for? So the last thing that I need to do before I leave the house the first time is go open the room with the secret closet on the first floor, because I remember distinctly that I did not do that. Like, look at all these herbs. Herb. I don't think I have any shotgun shells besides... I don't. Okay, well. Then I guess we don't have to worry about freeing up space for that. So, yeah, I forgot to check the room with the special closet. So the director's cut version is nice to you in that you don't have to get the special key. You don't have to get the special key to open the secret closet with the outfit changes. You can just open it from the beginning in the director's cut version, which is nice because you get an additional. Chris and Jill both start with a different outfit, and then there is an additional outfit they can both change into. that is different than the bonus outfit from the original campaign, which I think is still in the game if you do the original campaign. How does that work? If you play the non-arranged version, you'll still get the normal bonus outfit, I think. Like the brown leather jacket for Chris, you know. You'll still get that in the original version, but in this arranged mode, you get the outfit you start in. Rebecca also gets a separate outfit. Barry doesn't for some reason. Barry and Wesker don't get bonus outfits. They just get their normal outfits. Oop. Yes, I will. But there's some extra clothes in here. And I actually want to check, because now I don't remember. Like, subsequent versions, almost all of them, from the Saturn port to the, the DS version, they all have different. The third costume is different, basically, in all of those. And I can't remember if the DualShock Director's Cut, which again is the basis for this hack, I don't remember if that changes the outfit from the normal Director's Cut bonus outfit or not. So we're going to check. And there's also some stuff in here. What do we got here? This is ink ribbon. And a couple of herbs. Which, again, this game just dumps healing items on you. Your inventory space is much more at a premium than the actual number of herbs you have. So there's Jill's original outfit. So I can change into her original outfit. There's Chris's original outfit. There's Chris's first special costume, original special costume, which is the leather jacket, the Made in Heaven Redfield jacket, and there is Jill's original special costume, which is their sort of crop top and jeans, which is what it is, I suppose. There you go. She also, I like that she, like, essentially she must get a haircut in there too, because her hair is, like, she has like Ramona from Scott Pilgrim hair in her bonus outfit that you start in the arranged version, but now she's back to her like normal bob. And there's no way, like, I understand that people with long hair can style their hair differently, but like it's not tied up in any way. Like, now she has bangs and it's all the same length, and the front of her hair was longer a second ago than it is now. So she has this, bob style hairstyle now. So now that I got all that stuff and got rid of the armor key, which was part of that calculus too, is like ditch the armor key. Now we can leave. And so to leave, the fastest way, let me think about this for a second, is probably actually going to be to go... No, actually it's probably just to run through the dog hallway. So I've told this story before, and again, like, nobody is currently watching this, probably because it's so late. It's midnight Central Time, but I'm actually kind of surprised Alex isn't on, but he might be working. I've told this story before on stream, I know, and in videos, I think, and other stuff, but just like to reiterate, the dogs jumping through the windows in this hallway the first time when I was 13 years old. 96, yeah, early 90s, spring of 96. I was 13 years old. The first time those dogs jumped through that window, it scared the bejesus out of me. And, you know, in a way, it was sort of a watershed moment for me just because I don't think a video game had ever done that to me before. Like, if you asked me, you know, prior to Resident Evil, did a video game ever scare the crap out of me? The answer is not that I can think of. And I had played Alone in the Dark on my friend's 3DO. Same friend that I actually first played this game with. So I think we both got copies, if I remember correctly, and like who can say, because this is a memory of when I was 25 years ago. But we both got this game, picked it up from the Babbages at Southridge Mall in Greendale, Wisconsin. And I think we went to his house, if memory serves. We went to his house to play, to begin. But just like hot swap the controller, you know, sort of see what was going on. And I don't remember if it was me playing or him, but we walked into that hallway, and, you know, you're just like, the game has not established the rules yet for how the game is going to behave or what it's going to pull out on you. And boy, those dogs came through the window and just like absolutely, I mean, could have jumped through the ceiling. It's just absolutely scared the hell out of us. And I mean, it's a jump scare, right? So it's like, it's not, you know, we're not talking about I guess we'll just overwrite that first save, because, like, who cares, right? First save takes 10 minutes to get to, if that. So, you know, I've said this before, again, but, you know, the thing that video games are good at is atmosphere, in my view. They're not really great at storytelling. I don't think. I mean, some of them are, but the ones that are, it's usually at the cost of interactivity, right? Like, if you are going to tell a good story with a video game, you almost sort of have to put the player kind of like locked onto a track of like, this is where you're going, and this is exactly what you're going to see. We need you to see exactly these things at exactly these times. You know, because this is the story, this is the narrative we're telling, and if you don't see these things at these times, you're not going to know what's going on, or you're going to miss a point that we're trying to make, or, you know, whatever. So, you know, the alternative to that, if you want to try to tell a compelling narrative, is to take the Kojima approach, which is just to leave these sort of wide open gameplay sections that then funnel into these story points, where then you just have to listen to someone talk and like dump the plot to you, you know, for 20 minutes at a time or an hour at a time. And then, like, you know, for me, like, I think I'm good. Like, I don't really need that. I don't really want that. You know, I don't like, I like the Metal Gear games because the gameplay sort of set this other bar, and also, I mean, they're like anime bullshit, which is kind of ridiculous, which is funny, but like in terms of, like, I know people who are like sort of unironically love those stories and think that they tell this really compelling, you know, narrative, and like I will politely disagree with that assessment of the Metal Gear games. But you know, world building and atmosphere are sort of the forte of video games, and I think, you know, this game does a really good job of that. You know, like this stuff, this is really cheesy. Like, this is Brad. This is Brad. Answer.
Brad, this is Jill.
You know, that's not good dialogue. It's not performed well. It's not convincing. But like a good horror movie, or a good horror comedy, I guess, really, or a campy, you know, horror movie. Once you move away from those moments, you know, when the atmosphere is right, and the sort of the stuff going on around your character is right, it's creepy. You know, it seeps in. You know, Simon's Quest has that. I don't think Simon's Quest is a very good game. I think it's a lower tier Castlevania for sure, but it has that. It does that thing where it just the art on display in Simon's Quest by the standards of an 8-bit Nintendo game, and the music is just on another, like, Konami at that time was just on a different level from almost everyone else, really, like, except for Capcom and Nintendo themselves. I mean, they were just, you know, that game oozes atmosphere, but it doesn't tell a very compelling narrative. And the narrative it does tell is in really, really broken English. You know, because it was basically translated in-house by a Japanese person with a, you know, probably some cursory level of English as a second language and like a Japanese to English dictionary. So, you know, but Resident Evil, I think, still, you know, does a really good job of building an atmosphere, and like this, just these scenes, and you know, you're looking at the upscaled version if you're watching this, but I'm playing mostly on my CRT, on my PVM, and it just, you know, I have said this recently on other streams and stuff, but like, the thing that has aged the best on an old CRT, like I'm a Sharp Pixels guy when I upscale, you know, games of a certain vintage, you know, give me Sharp Pixels, put them right in my eyeballs, etc., etc. But PlayStation, or like early 3D, PlayStation, Saturn, 3DO, N64. What? You can turn and shoot, Jill. I know you can. How much damage did that do? Yes, I will, and then I'll shoot this other dog. Or I'll pick up the other herb, which is fine because I'm about to combine them and eat them. But I'm definitely about to combine. No, actually, we're just going to do this instead. Alright. And you know what? We're just going to run. We're just going to head into the guardhouse. I'm trying to be kind of thorough, and I hate the dogs so much, but you can kind of stun lock them with the pistol if you get them one at a time. Obviously, that didn't work out for me this time, so I'm just running. Also, I'm only going to pass through that hallway one more time, and 2 dogs is not going to be that big of a problem. Grab a couple blue herbs just in case I get poisoned. I'm not going to get poisoned, but, you know, we'll grab them just in case. Early 3D looks the best on a CRT. It's just, and I've messed with the filters on this RetroTink 5X, and it just, you know, I just have not been able to land it, to stick the landing in terms of, like, make this look like the actual like it's sitting, my big TV is sitting next to my CRT, and I messed with a bunch of the filters and the scan line options, and, you know, it's just kind of like, you know, none of this is working for me in the way that I, you know, would kind of like it to. And I don't, you know, it's hard to explain why that is. Actually, we don't want to do that because we're gonna. Shells. I'm trying to think now the best way to prepare here, and I actually think maybe taking the Beretta and it's like there's not really a need to come back to this room. You can negotiate not coming back to this room between now and when you actually have to leave. I believe. You'd think I just did this in like another version of this game, but I think we can do that, but now I'm trying to remember if I don't want to run back and forth a whole bunch. I think if I take the bazooka and the Beretta for standard enemies. And just use the bazooka on Plant 42, I will be good. I will be able to do this without coming back to this room, but until I leave. He says somewhat confidently before inevitably like screwing this up in some way. But we saved here at least, so. And that should be like 22 bullets should be enough to kill all the zombies, and 22 bullets plus the other bullets that I'm about to find should be enough to kill all of the zombies in the guardhouse that I will need to kill. Let's especially if I get good headshot luck like that. Boy. And then we can get some shotgun shells on top of it. Also reload the Beretta so that we don't have our clip kind of hanging around. Is there anything in here? I don't think so. Nothing unusual. Nothing on the table. I think there is something in the... Is this where... There's like a... Again, there's a clip in a bathtub that's not in the normal director's cut or the original game, but it's in the true director's cut version as... No, it's not here. Yeah, so in the director's cut, you drain that bathtub, and there's just nothing in there, which seems really pointless, but when you remember that in the original version of the game, now I can't remember what's in there, I think it's a key or something, is in the bathtub. You have to unplug the dirty bathtub and get something out of it. This version of the game was made for people who had, really played the original at least enough times to get the Infinite Rocket Launcher, which of course I had because I'm that guy for sure when it comes to Resident Evil games. And so that was a subversion of your expectations. You're like, well, I unplugged the bathtub and there's nothing in there. What the hell? Yes, I'll take the ink ribbon, and yes, I will also take the book. And we'll take the red book. So actually I am going to end up going back to that room, to the save room, because I'm going to dump off the ink ribbon because I don't need it. Now I'm trying to remember, I think on the pool table, is there ammo or something? I can't remember. I feel like there is a reason to go in here. Maybe there's not. Maybe that's another subversion of the expectations. You have this sort of 3 o'clock layout of the pool table, which I think is supposed to tell you that dorm 003 is the one that has the whatever the blade of Plant 42 or whatever, but that is a silly thing to put in the game. It's just like, what? I mean, but I guess if you didn't know, I mean, if you're playing this kind of game, I guess since I'm here, I may as well drop the shotgun shells too. These games are really rooted in a lot of ways in adventure games, right? This is like the very sort of definition of an action adventure game. So oh wait, no, that's the door code. That's what the pool table puzzle tells you. It tells you the door code for the chemistry room where you can make the V-Jolt. That room right there. But making the V-Jolt takes more time than just blowing up the Plant 42 with the oh no, killer bees. Wu-Tang killer bees, y'all. Using V-Jolt takes more time than just shooting Plant 42 to death, so it's kind of not worth doing, especially since, like I said, this game gives you so much ammo. On a first playthrough, I could see wanting to do the V-Jolt, take the V-Jolt path, just because you don't have to fight Plant 42 as long, and you don't know if you need to save all of your bazooka rounds for, your, you know, eventual fight with the tyrant or whatever, but like you really don't, because if you're being, you know, if you're being good about saving your ammo, you'll have enough magnum rounds to take out the tyrant without doing a lot and needing a lot else to do that job. So, but if you don't know that, you might think, well, I'll just more shotgun shells. I'm gonna end up having to combine these herbs to avoid. Yeah, so this is the Plant 42 report that explains, like, this is what Plant 42 is, this is what it's doing. And then later, maybe right now, actually, you find the V-Jolt report, which tells you that Plant 42 is vulnerable to this very particular chemical, and here's how you can use it to kill the giant plant. And also, sorry, this is the room where there's actually... that's the way downstairs... where if you are doing the V-Jolt way, if that's the path you're taking, that's where you would do it. You would go down the ladder, and then there's a room that you can get into. Where you can access the roots of Plant 42, and you can pour the V-Jolt on the roots, and then it's like severely weakened, and I don't think it kills. I think you still have to fight it a little bit, but it's like super weak. It takes like 2 shotgun shells after that, and then it's dead. But it takes so much running around and doing the time to do the puzzle of like assembling the chemicals to make the V-Jolt. Is a lot more time consuming, again, than just fighting the plant. And you end up you have to go downstairs anyways, eventually, because you get something from Plant 42, or not from the plant, but like in the room, and now I can't remember what exactly it is, but you get something. You get a key. You get the control room key. And the control room key... Oh, shit. The control room key... is what you need to open the control room, obviously, downstairs. And then once you do that, you can find... Oh, shit. Ran right into that. Okay, well, I don't have any bullets, so I guess I'm just gonna blow you up, dude. Adios. So yeah, this tells you, like, this is how you make the V-Jolt. You put it on the roots and it'll kill the plant. It's like, okay, well, or I could just burn it. Which is essentially what I'm going to do with Barry's help, is burn Plant 42. I don't think there's anything else in this room. Is there a desk that I can use my lockpick to open? Because after all, I am the master of unlocking. And that is Increvin. Great. Don't really need that, but whatever. Okay, and we're going to use our first aid spray because really super would prefer not to die on Plant 42 and have to go reload my save and blah blah blah. And also, I'm not like actually trying to finish this game. I'm just trying to get footage for it for a video. Yeah, so 6 shots from your bazooka basically kills the plant. So it's not actually dead, it's going to come back. Jill's going to walk towards it like an idiot without any input from me. And it's going to spring back up and it's going to grab her. And then Barry's going to come. And...
What the hell is this?
Barry!
Jill!
there you go. He will now proceed to burn the plant for me. Jill doesn't get the flamethrower. That's part of why I like to play as Chris in this game. Chris has less inventory space. The game is generally considered to be a little harder when you play as Chris. But Chris gets a flamethrower, and Jill never gets a flamethrower, I don't believe, if memory serves. It's been it's been a really long time since I've played through the entire game as Jill. But
You saved me!
Chris gets the flamethrower, and I'm
That was
almost positive
close.
Jill doesn't,
Thanks,
because the
Barry.
way she gets through the
Don't
area
mention
where the
it.
flamethrowers
What
unlock
a
the doors
monster.
is slightly different.
I can't believe... What the hell is this place anyway?
Key is in the fireplace. Now I can't remember. Again, like I just did this in a different version of the game, so you'd think I would remember, although some of the item locations are different. So I can't remember if there's a box of shotgun shells in here too, but I actually don't think that there is. There isn't. Can I talk to Barry? I can't. I
Okay.
can't talk to Barry.
I'm gonna stay in the soldiers area and take a look around. Though I'm sure there are still things in that other mansion as well. Anyway, let's start searching separately.
Okay.
So if you're not familiar, spoilers for a 25-year-old game, the reason that Barry wants to split up is because Barry is in the pocket of Wesker, who has told him that he's kidnapped his family and will do terrible things to them if Barry doesn't do what he asks. I believe the way that they explain that away in later games is just that it was a bullshit story, and like his family was never kidnapped, and so because his family was never kidnapped, when Wesker dies, quote unquote dies. Obviously, we all know he didn't really die, but you know, at the time we thought he died. When Wesker dies, nothing happens to Barry's family because they weren't really kidnapped, which raises the question: where were they that Barry believed they were kidnapped? Where he didn't like call his wife and be like, hey, are you kidnapped? Or like demand that Wesker show him like show me a picture of my wife holding today's newspaper, or what have you. Just that's, he wasn't that concerned about it, I guess. So we're gonna kind of set this up. I don't want to do too much with that box because you can screw up the puzzle, which the nice thing about this game is that if you leave a room and come back, the puzzle's reset, which is sort of a necessity, right? But otherwise you could just get yourself into an unwinnable situation, like, oh, now you're hosed. But you can screw up the puzzle, and since you have to push this is the most annoying puzzle in the game, not because it's hard, just because you have to push this stupid box all the way down this long hallway. Which just feels like the game doesn't respect my time, really. Like, the puzzle... You could set the box in you could have made the hallway shorter, I guess, really, is where I'm going with this. You could have made the hallway shorter. I guess I know there's a floor plan that has to kind of fit together for all this stuff, because there's a room down here where the roots of Plant 42 are sticking through, etc. But yeah, that puzzle's annoying. It's easy, which makes it actually, I think, more annoying, because you can't... Let's see here. Will I take the green herb? No, I will not take the green herb right now because... Actually, yes, I will. Since there are 3 of them total, I have 1 and there'll be 2 more, I can combine them into a full heal. And that won't take up any additional inventory space than what I already have, so we'll just do that. Yes. Yes. They're in that way. I'm in the same spot we were before. Okay. Sounds good. So that's the room with Plant 42's roots in it. There is literally no reason to go into that room at this point. Because I already killed Plant 42, and there are no items in there, so we're not going to go in there. But we are going to go in here. And open this door. So we open this door so that we can open the door next door to it, and then we can drain the water. Oh no, sorry, we drain the water in here, and then we can unlock the door next door. And in the door next door is the key, the next mansion key that we need to advance the plot of the mansion. I don't think... Yeah, there's nothing else in here. Okay. So, now we go next door. Next door, we've got, there's the key, you can see it sparkling. We've got a couple of boxes of shotgun shells. And we have the shield key? No, the helmet key. Yeah? Helmet key. Which is good, we want that. Got a bunch of wet, useless stuff, and we've got 2 clips for our Beretta. Which we actually will not equip again. We'll reload. So we didn't really see much of the shark, but now the shark is just flopping around on the floor with the 2 baby sharks, and there you go. Obviously the remake really expands on that whole section, and there's more dealing with the shark, and there's more... In fact, the shark will continue to attack you after you drain the water, and there's a bit where you can either just stand on a thing and shoot it, or you can push like a malfunctioning piece of electronic equipment off the shelf into the shallow water, and it will fry the shark, which is a nice touch. Anytime a game gives me like multiple options for doing something in that vein, I'm a fan. So Wesker.
Jill, so you're safe.
That's what I was going to say. Where on earth have you been? You disappeared from the hall all of a sudden.
I'm sorry, but I have my reasons. Perhaps you guys have met them. It was all I could do to protect myself against those strange creatures.
And of course he says, well, I was attacked by monsters, so I had to run.
It's good to see you're safe.
Except every time you pass through the main hall,
Jill,
there are never any monsters in the main hall.
Out of here.
In this version of the game.
Yes,
Later
you're
versions
right.
of the game. The remake version, I believe, eventually zombies do enter the main hall.
Now, there are a lot of rooms in that mansion
memory serves,
that
which I
we
think
can't
it
get
does.
into because they're locked up. I have been looking around for clues.
Okay, I'll go to the other house and see if I can find any clues.
Will you do that? I'm counting on you.
There are a lot of plot contrivances in this game to create a situation in which the protagonists and alleged believed protagonists until the final act split up, and it's just like, why on earth would you split up in a million years in this situation? You're this sort of paramilitary police unit. Like, you're definitely not that dumb. Why are you splitting up? But the game isn't scary if you're not split up, and I can't use it here. Okay. Am I close enough now? Oh, come on. What about now? This is one of the annoyances of the... Oh my god. Okay. That's just a brain fart, I guess, that I forgot that you actually just push the button on the thing and it lets you. It asks you if you want to save. Anyways, like, once... I think that's one of the things that I actually, in terms of, the plot changes and stuff, in the Resident Evil 2 remake, they really sort of go out of their way to make it that Claire and Leon can never really go somewhere together, because every time they interact, they aren't next to each other in a meaningful way, right? Like, in the original Resident Evil 2, they meet up in a hallway, and it's like, well, I'm just gonna go, like, do something different than what you're doing, and it's like, no, dipshit, why would you do that? Like, just stick together. But in the remake, like, you go outside at one point, and the other character's on the other side of a locked chain link fence that's like got barbed wire at the top or whatever, and then zombies start showing up, and it's like, oh well, gotta go, and stuff like that, where there's never really a chance in the remake of 2 that they could just be like, no, like, we're just gonna stick together and cover each other's backs. The thing that makes the most sense in the universe. There's just never a chance for that to happen. But in this game, and the original 2, and the original 3 to a lesser extent, I guess, it happens a million times, where it's just like, okay, why are we not just hanging out and sticking together? Because that seems like it would be the smart thing to do. So speaking of the smart thing to do, the smart thing to do would have been to bring the square crank with me when I just did this, because you can refill the reservoir and then make it so that you can get into the lab later without having to come back here and do the crank thing. But I actually totally forgot that, even though I absolutely should have known. But again, it's been a while since I played this game. But yeah, the optimal path is that you take the crank with you when you leave the guardhouse, so that you can refill the pool, so that later when you go to the lab door, which is behind the waterfall, you don't have to run back there with the square crank. You can just go directly, once you have the battery for the elevator, you can just go straight to the elevator. Although now that I'm saying that out loud, I actually think maybe you do have to take the battery to the down part first anyways. Here we have the hunter. That elevator. Yeah, it's in the down position, so actually I think I'm wrong. Maybe I'm misremembering that. I think you actually do have to take the square crank either way, because you have to go downstairs first, put the battery in, ride it up, turn the water off, go back down, and go through the waterfall where the waterfall was. There's the first hunter. This is definitely a thing that scared the hell out of me the first time. Obviously, they are a lot stronger than zombies. Is this... There we go. I was going to say, is this first door right here a helmet door? It sure is. I guess I'll take the Magnum rounds. I'm going to need those to kill me a tyrant later. Maybe. Nothing uncommon. The first MO disc. That's the most missable one, right? That's the... To get the good ending, you need 3 MO discs. 2 of them are in the lab. 1 of them is in this room. And if you miss it... You cannot free your compatriot, which in this case I'm playing as Jill, it's Chris. You cannot free Chris, and you cannot get the good ending. So, you're going to want to do that. Well, let's see here. If I go back this way... No, don't want to do that. I want to go back this way and go up the stairs. Shit. Oh well. Well, I've been going for about an hour and 15 minutes, which is actually longer than I thought I would, especially after my misfire with no audio. So I think we're going to call it a night there. I did just save, but like I don't want to go to the save. We've been going to the save and deal with all that stuff again. So it looks like nobody was hanging out, but if you're watching this later, thanks for watching and metaphorically hanging out, and we'll be back tomorrow with something else.